In this episode, we're talking about the power of the growth mindset. As we've already alluded to, when you have a fixed mindset, you are limited. But when you have a growth mindset, the potential for success far exceeds anything that you can even imagine. That's what we're talking about today. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and welcome back to my 100-day walk to consistency. Remember, each day as we come, we are putting another piece of the puzzle into place that builds the best version of ourselves, the most resilient, more consistent version of ourselves. We're talking today, day number 47. Let's go ahead. I'll see you on the walk. So, as we talk about a growth mindset, it's first important to talk about what a fixed mindset is. Okay? A growth mindset is a mindset, this was a phrase coined by a psychologist who believed or believes that our potential can be developed, that our abilities, our intelligence, our capacity for growth and for making decisions and being successful is something that we can develop and we can change. The opposite of that is what is a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset said that this is what I have. What I have right now is all I can be, all I can do. And moving into a growth mindset gives the unlimited ability of change and of growth, because if I believe that all that I have right now can be developed, all that I have right now can be expanded, all that's needed really is to find the way to learn that behavior, find the way to change my mindset, find the way to change my thought process. And if I can do that, then I can move into any area and be successful. That's the power, that's the potential, that's the infinite ability of a growth mindset to make changes in our lives. And so when we are thinking about consistency, when we're thinking about our health, when we're thinking about all the changes that we can make, all the places where we can have an impact, one of the biggest impacts that we can make is by beginning to work on developing our concept of our mindset and move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Now, where does a fixed mindset come from? It comes from the same place sometimes that self-doubt comes from. It comes from our history, it comes from our family, it comes from failures in the past, it comes from maybe our education, it comes from our exposure. All of those things feed into our belief about what we currently have and what our capacity can be. And so just like we learned the things in the fixed mindset, we can unlearn those and we can begin learning about the growth mindset. And that's what we're going to be spending some time talking about today as we move into this discussion. So that's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. What are some characteristics then of a growth mindset? The growth mindset, that individuals with a growth mindset can embrace challenges. They're more resilient. They are not as easily discouraged. They see obstacles as opportunities to grow. They learn from criticism. They don't allow that to derail them, but they take what they can from criticisms and say, okay, how do I improve? How do I improve my capacity? Right? They find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. Oh, come on. Let me say it again. They find inspiration and they find lessons in the success of others. A fixed mindset, by virtue of how it works, will say that if you are doing something that supposedly is better than me, then you are a better person. And so I'm stuck here. And so the potential for me to be jealous and to not support you is increased, because after all, you're better than me and I can't move from where I am. But a growth mindset says, if you can do it, guess what? All I've got to do is I've got to learn, right? And that goes for whatever area we find ourselves in, whether it's our finances, our relationships, and of course here in our health, because many of us have been taught, many of us have believed or convinced ourselves that our health is all it is, that this is where I am and I'm stuck here. I can't make any changes. And I want to convince you that that's not the case, because a growth mindset says I can change. All I've got to do is learn. Right? So that's the growth mindset, the fixed mindset. So what is the importance of growth mindset? Why is a growth mindset important? A growth mindset is important. Okay, sorry. So growth mindset is important because it brings adaptability and resilience to you. Adaptability because if I am walking along and I am in the process of doing something and it's not working, a fixed mindset would say I'm stuck, right? Because what I have is not working. But a growth mindset says, this is not working, and I know I can change, I can develop, I can think outside the box. So let me try this other thing, okay? So I'm adaptable. I am changing with the changes in my environment. And so anything that comes at me now, all I've got to do is say, okay, I see that didn't work, or I see how that's going. Let me adapt, let me change, let me pivot, let me turn, let me go retool, whatever the phrase is you want to use, and let me come back at this in a different way. So we're adaptable and we're flexible, so that we understand that things will change, that things are not always going to go the way we thought they should. We're not always going to hit those benchmarks at the time and in the way we think that we should. But we're flexible to say, I know that I had a timeline for this, but it looks like I'm going to have to change the timeline. But that's okay. That doesn't derail me. That doesn't mean that I am a bad person, that I cannot be successful. But we make sure that we are doing what we need to do to understand, to learn from this particular process, and we just move on. So we're adaptable and we're flexible because the growth mindset says I can change. I can move from beyond from where I can move beyond where I currently am. Now, you guys know I'm a sci-fi buff, and I can't tell you the number of shows, TV shows, movies, whatever they were, where one of the episodes had to do with the belief of a certain group of people that all they could be was what they were, right? And so in come, whatever the sci-fi show is, here come the people, and helps them to move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. That has so many implications for our day-to-day lives, right? Wherever you find yourself, in a job, in a relationship, in a community, and you have convinced yourself that, hey, this is all that I can do. That's not the case, right? That's a fixed mindset, and we want to move beyond that. So growth mindset brings adaptability and resilience. It also enhances your performance and your engagement. So when we have a growth mindset, we're more likely to progress or persevere longer, because we know that something's going to change. Either the situation is going to change, because it's not forever, or I'm going up a hill, right? A little hill. And I'm going to be able to recognize, develop, solve this particular problem. And so I don't give up at the very first sign of difficulty, because my growth mindset says, I'm flexible, I'm adaptable, I'm going with this, right? And this also goes back to our idea of confidence, right? So when we're confident, remember, we may not have seen this particular instance before, but we're confident in our ability to grow, and we're confident in our ability to make changes and to solve problems, okay? So it enhances our performance. It makes us persevere longer. And it helps us achieve longer because we have the ability to persist and sustain ourselves even when it's uncomfortable. Oh, look at that! Look at all those concepts coming back through, right? So the whole idea of being able to be comfortable being uncomfortable, that's what that's saying. That when I have a growth mindset, that is not simple, but it's more within my grasp because I know that things change. I know things will change. I know I can change. I know the situation can be changed, okay? And so the growth mindset allows us to stay in discomfort without getting derailed and without giving up, because we know that all that's required is for us to find a different way, for us to move beyond this situation, for us to grow, and for us to expand, okay? So fixed mindset doesn't say that. Fixed mindset says you're stuck. If you're in a job that you don't like, you can't go anywhere else. If there's something you don't know, you can't learn it. If the relationship is not working, this is all you got. But a growth mindset said, no. The potential is unlimited. The potential is even things I can't right now understand or think I can't imagine. But once I begin learning, once I begin growing, the sky's the limit, okay? All right, so what are the benefits of the growth mindset? Long-term success and fulfillment is one. Long-term success and fulfillment. A growth mindset not only leads to greater achievement, but it also contributes to deeper personal satisfaction and fulfillment. It opens up pathways. Oh, look at that, pathways. When you have a growth mindset and you step on stage, you step in the arena, you exude confidence. Remember, one of the builders of confidence was changing our mindset, a growth mindset. So when you show up understanding that this place that I'm in is new. This situation I'm in may be new. I may not understand this, but I show up with a confident step. My shoulders are back, my head is high, my chest is out, and I'm speaking in a way that says, I'm sure of where I am. And so people gravitate to that. Let me say it again. People gravitate to that. So your relationships are better. Your success is better because there are opportunities that come to you that you take simply because you have a growth mindset. Not because you may have the skill for that particular thing, but hey, I could learn that. There was a show, I'm trying to think what it was now. There's a show of this guy. He was taken from his parents, I think, and he was raised, him and his sister were raised in a laboratory, and he was taught how to assimilate and to learn different skills. And the show really was about them trying to catch him because they want him back. But I think of him when I think about the growth mindset. So he shows up, and there's nothing about that situation that he knows, but he learns. He learns quickly, and he's able to function in that capacity. And growth mindset does the same thing for us. Gives us long-term success and fulfillment. And because we're being successful, because our relationships are better, because we have a job that we like, because we're competent, because we are confident, then our fulfillment in where we are is better. See how that all feeds on itself? So confidence builds consistency, consistency builds confidence, growth mindset builds confidence, and that builds consistency. And it all kind of goes and intertwines together. That's the beautiful thing about these keystone principles, that they are universal, and they domino effect into each other. Okay, so we're talking about benefits of growth mindset. Benefits transforms challenges into opportunities. There are times when, because you have a growth mindset, you see opportunities in something that people look at and say, well, this can't work, right? This challenge is just it. We don't have a way of getting around this. And because you can sit back and you can imagine that you can be different, you can imagine that you can grow, then your brain says to you, let's process this, because I know it can work. All I've got to do is find the way that it works. All I've got to do is find that one thing that makes this different, one thing that makes me able to move beyond this limitation. Okay, and that's how a lot of discoveries happen. So it's not that people know what they're going to do. They have an idea of what they want to do, and they're moving along, and things don't work the way they thought it was going to work. But in the process of trying various things, they come up with something that is amazing, because they didn't give up and because their brain was in the process of going through and making decisions and trying this and trying that and see how the results were. I think I gave an example of when I was in college. I was a computer science major, and one of the things that we needed to do was to write a program that basically was a GPS. Right, so very early forms of GPS, and basically you started with one area, you started in one location in the country, and what happened was the computer tried, the simplest form of that was where the computer just tried all the different combinations and got you to a location, right? And that's what happens when you have a growth mindset, that you have the ability to see and look and do and try and move, and when you do that, that opens up possibilities to you that you did not even expect, and you could not even see before. I want to make a plug right here, and the plug is for this. Often when we're going through a series like this, and we're going through the process of trying to change ourselves, to try to grow, you know what happens? In the middle of it, something in our brain says, this doesn't work for us. We've tried things like this before. We can't change. We can't grow. You know what that is? That's the fixed mindset. And my plug to you right now is to push beyond it, is to take an action. Remember, move a muscle, change a thought. So take an action. Get up. If you've not been walking, go ahead and walk. Get up and row. Go ahead, get up and swim. Get up and whatever it is, I want you to move. Don't want you to be sitting watching this video. I need you to move, because the changing of your posture, changing of your body also changes your mind. And so if we can initiate a behavior, if we can initiate some movement, then the likelihood that our brains will follow that goes up. Okay? So that's my plug for you right now. I want you to consciously make the decision that you may be tired, maybe frustrated, you may feel like things are not going the way you thought they were going to go. But for now, this time, right here, right now, I need you to get up and I need you to move. I need you to walk outside, go to the mailbox. I need you to get up. I need you to get on the treadmill. I need you to get up. Whatever it is, I need you to do some jumping jacks. I need you to do some stretches, some bends, some squats. Right? So right now, that's what I want you to do. Because you move a muscle, you change your thought. Move a muscle, change a thought. Change a thought, and once you change that thought, wow, the sky is the limit. Because it all begins in that piece of real estate between our ears, right? We can visualize, we can actualize, we can motivate. All of that happens when we have a growth mindset. Okay? All right, so how do we cultivate a growth mindset? How do we cultivate a growth mindset? So in addition to what you're doing right now, getting up and moving, we cultivate a mindset um, by recognizing and challenging our current position. Recognizing and challenging our current position. Before we can move to another place, we've got to recognize where we are, and we've got to challenge it. We've got to say, Dr. Woode is telling me that what I'm thinking right now is not true. And I promise you that if you are in a fixed mindset thought process, the things you're telling yourself, the self-doubt that you have, not true. Okay? Not true. And so if that is not true, then I can begin challenging that and saying, okay, that's not it. In our challenge for the last episode that we did, one of the things that we wanted to do was to list fears and then write the counter to that fear. What is the counter statement to that fear, right? And so here we're using those counter statements to challenge the fixed mindset and say, okay, the fixed mindset says that I cannot lose weight, that I don't have the ability to do that. But the counter to that is that I actually can lose weight. And so if I can lose weight, I can argue with the part of me that says it's not possible. And I'm challenging that, right? So how do we get out of that fixed mindset? First of all, we got to understand, and we have to recognize and challenge our fixed mindset. When you find yourself doubting your abilities, you want to intentionally say one of those mantras. That's where the mantras are so important. We want to look back at our journal, right? And so you have to have a process of doing this. This is not just going to happen on its own. You have to have a process that you're going through as we're moving, right? So, and so here come the concepts, right? They're all connecting. That's why it's important to have a daily routine. That's why it's important to end your day right, because you are automatically set up to do that. And so if in your process you have those mantras that are written and you just repeat those mantras, there may be days you don't even need the mantra. But the day when you do, it's already built into your routine. It's already built into what you do. And so it's natural to just move right into it, okay? So when you're doubting your abilities, you want to make sure that you're using those mantras. You want to strengthen that inner coach. Wow, 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 wow. You're hearing all the words, right? All the concepts. You want to strengthen that inner coach. And so one way of strengthening that inner coach is to go back and look at those, that journal. One of the ways to strengthen the inner coach is to try things. One of the ways to strengthen the inner coach is to document and record those things where we're being successful, okay? Practical steps to take, right? So set learning goals. One of the things that is very popular right now, and everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people are pushing this, is this idea of taking 5 minutes to learn something, right? So they have all these online services where they talk to you they teach you 5 minutes of something, 10 minutes of something, 15 minutes of something. And so every day you're learning something new. I can't tell you the number of things that I do to learn on a given day, right? So I subscribe to a YouTube channel, and it's a math and science channel, and they send problems, or they do a show on how to solve a particular set of equations, or a particular math principle, or a particular chemistry or physics principle. Why do I do that? Well, one, I like math, chemistry, and physics, and so I'm always excited when I see those. But it also helps me to keep learning things. I subscribe to a number of other channels for people who are doing things. Now, I don't always get to watch all of their shows or the entire show, but my subscriptions are not all usually entertainment, right? So these are things that are learning. So people who are in my field, people who are content creators. I want to learn what they're doing. What are the things what are the equipment that they're using? What are some of the best practices that they use, right? So if you go back and you watch my show from the beginning, right, my show has evolved, not because necessarily that I came up with those ideas, but I put myself in positions with people who are doing things, who are being successful and doing some of the things I want to do. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick that up. I'm gonna take that up. I'm gonna use this part right here. Okay, I like this, what he does, but I don't like this other thing, right? So I am learning something every single day. And as part of your daily routine, you should build in some time, somewhere, somehow, where you are learning something. And that should be a daily practice. Recently, if you watch my show, for the last, as long as I can remember, my bass, I have 2 bass guitars, I got a couple of acoustic guitars, and they've been sitting in my studio, and I haven't picked them up because, I'm busy, and I picked one up the other day, and I was telling my son, I said, the fingering comes back, but I've got to stretch a little bit more, right? My fingers used to be able to stretch across the frets and, hit those notes without causing a buzz. And so I picked that up again. And so I've been doing that. I was telling my wife really recently, I want to take up a dance class, right? So there are so many things that we can do, and it doesn't have to be humdrum, boring stuff. Find something that you like to do, but learn something every single day. Okay, so we are. So those are some strategies, right? When you find you're downing your abilities, intentionally shift your thinking to focus on growth. Shift your behavior, shift your posture. When you are sitting and you're kind of clenched, right? The ability to process and think goes away, or it diminishes, it decreases. So change your posture, change your behavior, change your position, right? Sit up, put your feet on the ground. Now unclench your fist. Do a body scan, right? You close your eyes and think about what your ears are feeling in your face and your eyes and your lips and your neck and your shoulder. How does the shoulder feel? Walk down through your chest and your abdomen. Feel how you're breathing. Are you having any issues in your hips? Are your muscles tense in your thighs and your quads? And are your toes curled, right? So do a body scan. And that will help you identify where you are and what you need to do to begin moving out of the position. So we're talking about cultivating growth mindset. And then practical steps for daily. Set learning goals, right? So rather than performance goals. Oh man, this concept right here is on our list to do a show about. But, and I've started doing this with my son. And I'm not sure how long ago I stumbled across this concept. But they did some studies, and these were with children, and they found that they took students who were already doing well, and they divided them into groups. And one group, they consistently praised them for their ability. You're so smart. You got an A. Oh man, you are really good at that. Right? So praising them for their ability. And the other group, they started telling them that they were just excited that they gave a good effort. Man, I'm so glad that you put an effort in. Right? I'm so glad that you didn't give up. I'm so glad that you stuck in there. And several things started happening. One of the most amazing things that they found was the group that was being praised because of their ability. When they didn't do well, they lied about it. I'm gonna pause. That's right, you heard me. Because they were so used to being praised for their ability, when they didn't do well on exams, that went directly to their ability, to their personhood. And rather than accept that there was something wrong with their personhood, they lied about what had happened on the exam. Right? They inflated their scores. The other thing that happened was that those people those students didn't take risks because their praise was given to their ability. So if they took a risk for something that they didn't succeed in, then that once again went to their personhood. And so they didn't want to have a knock against their personhood, so they refused to try. On the other hand, the other kids who had been praised for their persistence and their tenacity and their determination, those kids, guess what happened? Yeah, they succeeded, they elevated, they were more resilient because they just tried stuff. Like, hey, it didn't work, but okay, I'll try something else. And so what I started doing with our son was I started telling him, well, two things. One, hey man, I started asking him, did you do your best? He's like, yeah, I did my best. I said, well, great. He said, and I told him, I said, that's what I want you to do. The score is going to come. The grade is going to come. But I want you to do your best. I want you to do your best. And when he did well, I'm like, man, look at that. See how that studying paid off? I'm glad that you persevered. I'm glad that you didn't give up. When he was in basketball, I'm glad that you stuck in there. I saw how you were going up and down the court, right? I didn't tell him he was a great shooter or he was a great dribbler. I told him, I'm excited to see how you defended that guy, right? Because I wanted him to know that it was the perseverance. It was that gave him the ability. And if he could learn that, then his growth mindset is expanded. Yeah. Okay? So perseverance. How do we combat the fixed mindset? How we build a growth mindset? So instead of aiming to get every answer right, aim to learn something new each day. Beautiful. All right, so that is an amazing conversation. I love it. It's actually, I keep saying that these are one of my favorites, but they're all one of my favorite conversations. Okay? They're all my favorite conversations. This one is one of those pivotal ones because it also sets the pace for a lot of the other things we're going to talk about and for you to be continually successful. So, we can't go anywhere without having a challenge. And so here's the challenge. Go ahead and grab your journal. Okay, and let's talk. So today's challenge is to identify an area where you feel stuck or you believe that your abilities are limited. You feel stuck or you believe your abilities are limited. And I want you to commit to a new approach that now focuses on the growth mindset rather than the fixed mindset. Okay? Now, what that means is that you first have to identify and write down what this area is. Then you have to say to yourself, I'm listing the counter argument to what I currently believe. And when I list the counter argument to what I currently believe, that means that if it is true that I can accomplish, that I can change, that I can grow, that I can be successful in that area, now I've got to go find the way to be successful. Okay, so you got it? So you get your journal, you write down the areas where you feel, and let's do two, right? Let's do two areas, right? That you feel stuck or where you feel like you can't succeed. You're going to write the counter argument to that to say, I can succeed in this area. And then, because your mindset has just changed, you begin looking to say, okay, what do I need to do to be successful? Because I know it is possible, but what do I need to do? Okay? And then commit to a new approach. Document what you're doing, document the benefits, document the successes, and then we're looking back to be sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. Make sure that you're writing your journal. Make sure that you are doing what you need to do to keep track of all of those things. The sun is starting to go down right behind me. Okay? All right. Well, that conversation, right? And we probably need to do an entire course on fixed versus growth mindset, because that is so pinnacle. That's so pivotal. Yeah, if you think we should do a course on that, go ahead and drop me a line, and we'll put that together. Okay. So as we conclude today's conversation, right? on developing a growth mindset. Remember that this approach is not just theory. This is not just about us saying some words. It's not just about achieving success. It's about understanding and enjoying the journey and becoming better, no matter what challenges we have. Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll look at another practical part of the puzzle that we're going to put together as we change our thought process, as we grow, as we become more consistent in our journey, in our health, in our finances, in our relationships. And one of the conversations we're going to have is about the domains of health, domains of wellness. Okay, so that we can say, okay, what are the areas that we need to be looking at? Hey, I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me for this day number 47 in this journey as we're moving through this space. Come back tomorrow when we once again talk about another concept that helps us grow, help us become more resilient, and helps us become more consistent. Thank you for joining me for my 100-day walk to consistency. I'll see you on a walk tomorrow.